Welcome back to the Shine Within podcast. I have here Yvonne Winkler, is a seasoned life coach, speaker, and CEO of Lotus Consulting Incorporated, with a deep commitment to women's well-being through empowerment, harmony, and collaboration. Leveraging over 2 decades of business development, consulting, and marketing experience, she mentors women to find clarity and harness their innate strength to live their chosen life. Yvonne, a certified Birkman professional and mental health advocate, is also the author of Freedom Seeker, Reclaiming Feminine Wisdom. Passionate about nature, she enjoys spending time outdoors and is a devoted Schnauzer mom. Cute. Love all animals. Furry friends are my favorite.
Oh, they are the best, aren't they? And such
Yes.
a big piece to my sobriety journey. So
Ah.
maybe I'll get an opportunity to talk a little bit about Sophie.
Absolutely. So definitely welcome, Yvonne. I'm so happy you're on my show. I already enjoy speaking with you before I hit record. So I just know this conversation is going to be wonderful. And I want to first and foremost say congratulations on your sobriety journey.
Thank you.
Yes. Can you actually share what inspired you to take those first steps towards your sobriety journey and how it actually transformed your life?
Oh, you bet. The It was a rainy anniversary, my 5th anniversary, actually, wedding anniversary, that my husband and I rented a cabin in the woods, and we got away to really celebrate. 5 Mark was a big piece for us, and it ended up being that I was pretty drunk by the time we even hit dinner, and then proceeded. When I hit a certain spot in my drunkenness, I would start picking fights, and it usually was rooted in just insecurity and shame and guilt around the drinking, and it spiraled out into fights that I would pick specifically with my husband. And so here we were in this beautiful setting, in the woods, and instead of celebrating 5 years of marriage, we ended up talking about separating
Mm.
because of my behavior and just my inability to get this under control, and just how it affected him and our marriage, our partnership. And so we decided that evening not to make any decisions, for me to, you know, sober up and think on it, with a bit of a sober mind, and then we'll revisit it. And I knew the next morning when I woke up and could barely remember the fight, could barely remember the conversation, I knew something needed to change, if I wanted to keep this man in my life, and if I wanted my life to be what I had always aimed for, which is like my entire journey is around freedom. And here, this final piece that was just holding me back was alcohol. And I've known it for a while, and this was the instigator to finally do something about it, like to finally say, no, I need to take this more seriously. Yeah. And a few months later, that's what I did. I became sober.
That's awesome. Yes, and I actually have a similar story to yours where I would start thinking irrational thoughts in my head and start acting upon them and pick fights with my this is now my ex-husband, but my
Mm-hmm.
husband back then. And I remember we would just get into fights and fights and fights because we were both drinking at the same time. And then yes, here you are trying to celebrate a nice anniversary, your 5-year anniversary, and then but the alcohol took over and then boom, a fight.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy for you that you are not drinking anymore. And I'm sure you've experienced so much things coming your way that you're like, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. I love life, especially as a freedom seeker, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And as a freedom seeker, how do you believe in your early experience to shape your perspective as far as like on life and personal freedom?
My earlier my earlier life, well, I was born and raised in former communist Germany, so before the wall came down. Um, and part of my story is my parents, making an attempt to escape communism, and we got caught, in that attempt, and that activated this primal, part in me as well as my parents, to never settle for anything less than freedom again. And unfortunately, because of my age and where I was at in my own personal development, um, I didn't. We took care of the pieces that we could in terms of like leaving. Like I said, former East Germany, moving to West Germany to have the freedom, at least the political freedom that we had wanted. And then later, we took it another step further, and we moved to Canada, from Germany to Canada, to have economic freedom and I guess spaciousness as well, because Germany is quite small. So we certainly always aimed for the freedom piece, and unfortunately, I didn't have all the tools in my toolkit yet to understand how these moves and these changes in environment and culture and language and um, growing older, like the teenage stuff that all women go through, the corporate stuff that we face and go through. I didn't have all the tools yet to to regulate that and to manage that. And so these experiences have all shaped my life by learning, personal development, healing, um, working on the stuff that didn't feel good. Um, and here I am today, looking because it has had such a impact on my life. I now work with women as a certified life coach. I now help women in all areas of life to break free from their own traps and own obstacles that they might have in the way, to have the life that they truly choose to want
Right.
to live.
Yes, and that's so amazing. I'm so happy you're doing that. And I notice as I'm serving others, I feel so much joy because when I was drinking, it was all about me, 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 me. And I didn't care about anybody else around me. It was just me. That's all I
Mm-hmm.
cared about, me and my booze.
Mm-hmm.
But now I noticed that when I got sober, it's like so nice to serve others who want to grow in life and want to evolve. And so thank you so much for being part of this time right now. That's incredible. And now your mission is to actually inspire 100,000 women into
Mm-hmm.
action is definitely inspiring. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What are your core messages, would you say, that you want to go ahead and aim to impart to women through your work, actually?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What a wonderful question. Well, the first one I would say is freedom is a choice. It comes down to that. And uh, if you are somewhere in your life where you don't like to be, or where it doesn't feel good, or it doesn't feel the way you would like it to feel, then you choose. You get to choose. No one else makes that choice for you. No one else makes those decisions for you. You choose. Now, yes, uh, change can be difficult, and it can have some hardship with it, and it probably most likely does not feel very good, because there's a reason why we're most comfortable in our comfort zone.
Yeah.
um, and you get to choose. I think this is one of the biggest messages and strongest messages that I really want to convey, because uh, the victim mentality is what actually holds us back. It's that mindset that we don't have a choice, that we're lost, that we're not empowered to do something about our lives. That is the very essence of what keeps us stuck in unfulfilling situations.
Yes, 100%, because that is a choice
Mhm.
to remain a victim or not. That is a choice.
Mhm.
Do you want to
Yeah.
break free from that, or do you want to remain that? For me, goodbye, no longer
Mhm.
victim. Yeah.
Exactly. And then finding also understanding that you don't have to go it alone, right? Like that um, uh, you choose. Let's say you do choose to do something about your situation, then also be brave and courageous, and find the people that can support you on your journey that you want to go down. So you don't have to do it alone. And especially if we're speaking of alcohol, or being sober curious, uh, there's definitely a lot of fear. There was for me a lot of fear around that loneliness aspect, that, oh, if I make this decision to, then I'm going to lose friends, I'm going to lose family, I'm and that is true. Some people may fall away, and some people will have to fall away in order for us to walk that path. And I'm also here to say that so much more is there at the end of it. Like, there are so many new people that can come into your life as a result of that choice, right? So I you don't have to do it alone, is, I guess, the second big message that I have. And the third one would be, there's no better time than today to do something about your life. We're called, you mentioned it earlier, we're called right now. Like, I think there's many of us, and I specifically speak to women right now. There are many of us that are feeling just that urge to do something about our situation. And in order to be strong enough to make the changes, we also need to be clear-minded and clear-headed. And again, alcohol plays a big piece in that. So for as long as we're going to buy into the self-regulation through alcohol, like this wine culture around, mommy needs to drink wine in order to, cope with the baby, as long as we buy into that messaging, we're going to be chained to our situation. So we need to break free from those messages, and so be more conscious, be more in the present moment, because this is right now when you can make those choices. So, it doesn't mean you have to stop drinking today. I'm just saying, be aware what you're buying into. What messages are you regurgitating, or through your behavior, or where you're putting your money, or, what you're choosing to do on a daily basis.
Yes. And so I live in California, and just on last Monday, my husband and I were like, oh, let's go somewhere to Napa, which is just up north from San Jose where we live. And so, but I'm like, all they have is wine tasting. And both of us don't drink. And so it's like, well, what to do? So we wound up actually taking a hike over in Muir Woods over in near Marina, and it was beautiful just to be with nature. I know you love nature yourself, and just
Yeah.
to be connected to the beauty that's out there, because it's so beautiful just to feel like the wind on your face, to smell the earth, to even walk, and maybe take off your socks and just kind of put your feet, plant them on the terrain there, and just pause for just a moment. Picking those is just wonderful. So it reminded me that you were saying that all the places, like, you have the mommies who go ahead and have their mommy wine so they can wind
Yep.
down.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I totally get it, because I was that. Because I was
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Yes. So in your book, Seeker, sorry, Reclaiming Feminine Wisdom, you talk about overcoming barriers and dependencies. Can you actually share a pivotal moment from your book that greatly influenced your path to freedom?
Yes. Well, there's many. The biggest one was when my parents decided um, to try to escape. So the story, just a short version of it, is the Hungarians decided to open the border to Austria, and that opened up a little tiny gap for Eastern European people to possibly get away from from the communist regime that we were being controlled over by Russia, into Western Europe, which is what we were completely cut off from. And as I was mentioning in my intro, we unfortunately got caught in that attempt. However, the being sitting hovered in the back of the seat of that car and watching my parents in the ditch at gunpoint did something on a core and foundational level in my body and in my brain, um, that as an 11-year-old I couldn't comprehend like what I was going to do with that. But looking back, I now know that was a pivotal moment in my life that influenced drive, my desire, my continuous fight for my freedom, my personal freedom, which has then inspired all the other actions that followed, whether it was breaking free from the corporate grind and overwork, or whether it was breaking free from alcohol and drugs, or whether it was breaking free from relationships that were not serving me. But it has, like, this moment right then and there, my parents risking everything for me to have a life. Wow, that's bringing up emotion. For me to have a life that is not restricted by a government to tell me what I can eat, or when I need to sleep, or when I need to, what I can read and what I can learn, and when I can, like, those restrictions that were that are very much part of communism. For them to fight so hard for my freedom instilled that freedom seeking personality in me that I haven't stopped since then. I mean, we celebrated 33 years of the fall of the wall last November. So that was a long time ago. And for some who may be listening to this show, you weren't even alive when it happened, but it was a pivotal moment in my life.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing
Mhm.
that. Yeah, I just couldn't imagine as an 11-year-old girl seeing that. That's like you said, it changes you. And then you
Yes.
want to make a difference now. From that point on, I just want to change
Mhm.
the whole communist mindset. And that's horrible because I still feel like that here, even in the US, it's rules, rules, rules.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
remember, I guess I never liked rules because growing up, I think I had mentioned this in one of my podcasts. When I was a baby, I was in the car seat, and my mom says, "You hated the car seat. You just wanted to get out. You wanted to be free." I was like crying. And then I remember, like, when my mom would say, "Well, make sure you're home at this time," like, no, but I'm 18. I was just like,
Yeah.
anyway, I was not a rebel. I won't say I was a rebel. Well, I'm sorry, I take that back because the drinking did make me a rebel. But this is before I was drinking.
Yeah.
I was a rebel, but I wasn't really following too many rules. So, but what I was going to say is, as a coach, what advice do you give women who are actually struggling to rediscover their power and purpose and joy?
Mm. Well, it would go right along the same lines as what I would say about anyone who's sober curious and wants to explore that. And that is, the first step in everything is to just acknowledge it. Be
Yeah.
like, one of my favorite authors, Daniel Laporte, says, freedom follows truth.
Mm,
And
mm,
that is 100% what I mean by that. It's uh, truth, but that doesn't mean truth to people outside of ourselves. It means first and foremost being truthful with ourselves. And for some of us, that might look like just admitting that, life isn't the way I like, is not for shaping up the way I would like it, or I'm not happy, or I'm not happy in my work, or I'm not happy in my home, like being more specific in what area of life is maybe affected by your lack of. Um, but acknowledging it, and just sitting in that, and really, like, taking an honest look at what parts of it do you play in that role, where is it that life keeps dealing you this particular hand, because again, I don't believe that outside of us is as profoundly impactful in our daily lives as we make it. It's all from within. So we create our own realities, we create our own mind, we create our own thoughts, and we have, at any point in time, we have the choice to choose a different thought. So it starts with acknowledging that and just being honest. That's where I would start, and then you know seeking out support, because the journey of self-discovery and really identify that, which is what follows, is not one that, well, you can do on your own, and it's going to be a lot slower, and it's going to stomp, and at least it'll stop you when you get stomped and you have a difficult time going deeper on your own terms. So I would say seek out maybe your first steps, like where could you find some support? Again, that looks different for everybody because it's very specific to your circumstance in terms of is it you want to quit drinking? Well, um, find a sober curious group, or find a coach that can help you maybe get started on this journey. If it is in childhood that you really want to start healing some of the past stuff, you probably want to go and look for some therapy, because those people are equipped they're trained to mentor and guide you through these trauma sessions that are likely going to come up, because at the end of addiction, especially, most often there is some traumatic event that has happened in our lives that has left us feeling like we can't cope in any other way than numbing out. So, and that might involve someone who is trained for that sort of thing. And then
Yeah.
so once they've acknowledged it, once I've acknowledged it, and then I sought out help, um, then I started to just keep reading, keep learning, keep growing, just walking my path with it, and always looking for what brings me more joy, and keeping at it. So I think that's the message. It's not a one and done thing. It's a journey. And
Yeah.
like any journey, we need to continue to work with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody's journey is different, and so what looks like somebody's journey, and they're doing something different, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know if that's going to work out for me." Do what's best for you. Don't follow. Like for example, for me, like AA wasn't. I didn't
Mhm.
align to me. It works for some people, and that's great. Keep going. But for
Yeah.
me, it wasn't. So I had to actually look for a mentor coach to help me with my mindset. I didn't know about any like sobriety coaches or anything like that. So that's what I did. And she was also a fitness trainer. So I was really working out a lot, getting me all like pumped up and just all those endorphins. And I felt so good. And I was looking
Mhm.
better. I mean, your life completely changes when you stop drinking. Your skin starts glowing all of a sudden.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
feel like you just feel like you're shining. And then
Yeah.
you're the world needs you. The world
Yes.
needs you. So yeah, that's what I always say, because we're all one. We're all one.
Well, and it starts within, just like your podcast, right? Like it's not something we can attain from the outside. It is all within. And so what I heard you say is you started with taking care of yourself, and the side effect of exercise happens to be that we're flooded with these positive endorphins, which um, can, especially on a rehabilitation journey, can be so helpful, because that is what our body is craving, is these fake endorphins that we used to get from drinking or from the drug use, right? So rebuilding them on a natural basis through exercise or movement is such a helpful way to first step. And I also loved that you said you started with a mindset coach, because there, maybe we're not ready to dive that deep, and that could be a big fear that is holding some of the listeners back in terms of even looking at sobriety, because they don't want to look at what is at the bottom of that bottle, right?
You're right.
They might want to so starting with a coach can be a beautiful bridge, whether it is a personal coach or it's a life coach. It can be a beautiful bridge to deeper work when you're ready, but it would get people started on a and I'm air quoting, lighter version of that personal development journey, right? So they don't have to do it alone, but they also don't have to deep dive into therapy right away.
Yes, totally. I love that. Now, going back to when I got sober and then had my mindset coach, she was actually the first thing she did, and this is what I do to my clients too, is goal setting. Now, can you
Mhm.
actually elaborate on the importance of goal setting, planning, and daily integration for women, especially in the context of sobriety and personal growth?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. This is such a big piece in my recent development. Uh, so, oh, where do I start with that, Gina? Ay,
Anywhere you
okay.
want to.
So here it is. First of all, we have to understand that the masculine and the feminine operate on different schedules. So the masculine operates on a 24-hour schedule, and the feminine operates on a 28-day cycle. And so when we understand that, it starts to make sense that perhaps the world we operate in, which has been designed by the masculine predominantly, doesn't really align with us. So we need to take, going back to what we talked about at the beginning, we need to take back some of that, reclaim some of that ownership, and choose for ourselves. Like you mentioned, you don't like rules. That is one of those things. Like, this is, oh, I'm aware now that maybe this doesn't work for me. So how can I make it work? How can I implement a strategy or a system, a model that is more in alignment with what I need, what I could work with. So, and that for me, and I believe that it is an answer for many women, is to use a more seasonal approach that is in alignment with that 28-day cycle, because the season cycle as well. So we have 4 seasons. We have within each cycle, within that 28 days, we have 4 distinct cycles. And following that more rhythmically has really allowed me to work with the flow, pun intended,
Yeah.
and not fight things so hard. Because what we have to understand is when we're trying to make change, it's especially in goal setting, when we're trying to create new habits or trying to achieve something, the tendency might be to try it all at once, and if it fails, we all give up. I think the key is to find ways to simplify the process. So try to simplify the pieces that you don't have to fight, whether they are conscious fights or subconscious fights. And the systems, like the rhythms and the rules and the cycles, is one example of that. So for, like, let's put it plainly. If I want to achieve a goal by the end of the month, and say it involves, I want to do more exercise. We're at the beginning of a new year. Lots of people are talking about this whole exercise piece. The gyms are full. I don't know about in California, but here the gyms are full. So we have to understand that we can't do HIIT every single day all month long. It doesn't work for us. We need to really work with our bodies on this. So when we're in menstruation, for example, or in that menstruating cycle, we're not going to want to jump around and like do high intensity exercises. We might just want to walk. We might just want to do some easy movement. Maybe we feel like we want to dance, but not like a hardcore dance, more like a smooth waltz or something like that with our bodies. But we want to be kind and nourishing to our bodies during that week. The opposite season of that is when we're in ovulation, which is the summer season. That is when we're doing high intensity or HIIT exercises, where we're like running up a mountain, or we're like going for a big long run, or like these really intense exercises. And so working with these, like if we understand that, it makes our goal of hitting the gym or hitting an exercise routine every single day or every week of the month so much more attainable, so much more achievable, because we are working with the flow, not against it. Was that an example? Like, did that help?
Yes, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Well, this season is winter. I said I'm just going to be doing yoga movements, breathing exercises, and walks. Normally, I'm the type of like who does the HIIT, who does the Zumba, who does all that stuff. But that is like in the summertime. This is my season to rest. This is our season to rest. The leaves are falling off the trees. That means we need to be resting as well. This is our time. And then the leaves will grow back on the trees. we will become again our
And we
vibrant
want,
selves.
yeah, exactly. And we want to do different things and we want to shake it up. Yeah. So as soon as you made the decision or the choice to do different movements during winter, um, what did that do for you? Like, how did that affect you in your mindset and whatnot?
Oh my goodness. It made me actually, I don't feel I never feel stress anymore. I just felt a sense of inner peace. It brings inner
Mm-hmm.
peace for me because I feel like I'm taking that time for myself. I'm going to go ahead and then focus on my spiritual being, what source wants me to do, God's source, whatever you
Mm-hmm.
want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
universe. But then I really go within, and then
Mm-hmm.
I just that time by yourself is so important. That silence too
Mm-hmm.
is very important because we get distracted with all the noises outside. There's this, that, TV, turn it off, by the way. Don't watch the TV. And we just get distracted. And so when we have our
Mhm.
alone time and doing gentle movements, loving our body, we have to love our body. If we want to heal our body, we have to
Mhm.
love it first.
Oh, amen to that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Yes. And so that's what
yeah,
I've been experiencing this season. And I love it. Because I
yeah,
used to be opposite where like, I'm going to go hardcore. And
yeah,
I did in my first early phases of recovery, but I needed that actually.
yeah,
So you have to listen to
yeah.
your body. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to your body and don't fight it. Go with the flow of it, right?
Yeah.
And what I heard you say was is you gave yourself permission to
Oh,
go
yeah.
with the flow. And I think that is the key to proper goal setting is that a goal is really just an intention that you set about something. And the tighter we hold on to the grip of that, the I'm trying to fish for an analogy here, but the tighter we hold on to that, the chances are we're actually going to throttle it by holding it so tight. So letting it go and letting things go with more ease and flow
Mm.
eases our own nervous system. It also reduces our stress, and that in and of itself physiologically helps us attract more of that what we want. So it's exactly what you said. We need to love ourselves first in order to bring in everything else that we need on our journey, whatever that intention or goal is. So yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. Now, in your opinion, how do you believe sobriety impacts not just individual, but like their well-being, but also
Mhm.
the dynamics of personal and professional relationships?
Oh, very positively. um, because here's what happens when I got sober. And I believe, well, I know that there's science to it because it clears out the poison in our system. For example, I don't know if you knew this, that our liver prioritizes like alcohol is so poisonous to our bodies that the liver prioritizes it even if it has another infection in the body to deal with.
Yeah, I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, so that's just to show how poisonous alcohol actually is to our body. So now I'm not a doctor, but when I look at that, I go, okay, so while I was drinking, my body was constantly in a state of um, trying to recover, right? Like trying to clean itself, trying to repair itself, and to keep me healthy. So that's one aspect. The second aspect was the more I was drinking, the more I was dependent on alcohol, the more it was on my mind all the time because of course my brain is trying to keep me safe, so it keeps constantly working on where's the next drink coming from, where am I going to get it, and so I was constantly thinking about it even when I thought I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking about it. So it was amazing to me after I quit drinking to see how much more spaciousness I had for other thoughts and for other things. And then the third big piece about relationships, and that doesn't matter if it's professional or personal relationships, is that while I was drinking, I was thinking about drinking so much that I could never be fully present to the relationship or that was in front of me. So my brain might have been, or I might have physiologically been nodding or acknowledging, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking about drinking. So it affects it because I lost, I mean, and there's the obvious stuff that while I was drinking and having conversations, I couldn't remember a lot
Mhm.
of the things they said. So the next time I meet that same person, I'd be asking them the same bloody questions again because I couldn't remember what they told me in the first place. So I think I believe that when we clear our system of alcohol or drugs, it gives us the opportunity to really become present. And when we become present to our lives, we can be more present to the people around us and to the
Absolutely.
situations around us and make better
Absolutely.
choices.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Yes. And it's so true. It's so true. Being present because it totally numbs us. We don't, when things become unmanageable and you can't, for me, I don't know what I was doing. I would have conversations and like you said, I would forget that I had the same conversation already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Things like that. But I notice, and perhaps you notice this for yourself too, is when I became sober, like everything changed. It's like my third eye had opened up immediately, and I was seeing things that I have never seen before. I'm like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. And then I felt like I was getting all this information, all this stuff. And I was like, wow, okay, I missed out. I could have only imagined if I wasn't drinking how much I would have, the information I was getting, I would have retained already. Like wow,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. The memory comes back, the
Yeah.
ability to hold more on your brain. Like your brain literally rehabilitates from the alcohol. I mean, alcohol doesn't just affect your liver, it affects every aspect of our body. And like it or not, our brain is the epicenter of what our body does. So it is really important what we feed it and how we treat it, right? So
Yeah.
I um I felt that absolutely the same way. In fact, it was one of my, like I used an app for my sobriety journey to have community and to count the days and to let's just hold me accountable. Um, and in the app, there was an opportunity to put your reasons why I wanted to quit. And so right beside the picture of me and my husband on our wedding day, I put to have more time. Time was actually one of my big reasons for quitting too. I wanted to regain
Yeah.
time back because if I wasn't drinking, I was recovering from drinking and then only to go back into drinking. So it felt to me like I was wasting so much time that I could be doing other things or you know treat my brain to other things too, as rather than constantly thinking about shaming myself or feeling guilty over or worrying about something and where's the next drink coming from.
Right. But now you're just probably venturing out, exploring and doing different things that you thought you would never be doing before.
Yes, yeah.
Fun things. Like I never thought I'd have a podcast. I never thought I'd have my own business. I never thought any of these things. No way. If you told me this like 7 years or 8 years ago, psh, no.
Yeah,
Things change. The possibilities are limitless. So
absolutely. Absolutely, yes, yeah.
yeah. And so finally, what message would you like to leave with our listeners? Those
Mm.
especially the ones that may be contemplating a journey towards sobriety or like
Mhm.
seeking transformative change in their lives.
Mm. Um, Follow your heart on this, and really let your heart do the talking, not your head, because remember that our head is trying to keep us safe. And so when we take our first steps at anything, but specifically let's talk about sobriety, um, it there's going to be more reasons to not go and do that thing then there's going to be reasons to do it. So it is and especially at the beginning stages when you're thinking about this, it's really important that you really bolster your why and your strengthen your reasons why you want to quit. why you want to change or why you want to create a new habit, and um, find all of the support for it that you can. So whether that is, physical support, whether it is emotional support, uh, even if, I went as far as, because I mean, I didn't try once and quit. I had many attempts at sobriety. And one of the big things I did differently on this journey, which has me now sober for 2.5 years, um, I, um, I had a plan in place. What am I going to do when I'm in this situation? What am I going to do when I'm in that situation? So I had a drink for every occasion. I didn't, uh, and this is a personal thing that some people like and some people don't. For me, having non-alcoholic alternatives was a must in my journey, because I still wanted to be part of, say, a beach party celebration or a New Year's cheers. So I found like a non-alcoholic or de-alcoholized sparkling wine. I found um, a beer that I enjoy, like a non-alcoholic beer, so that when I'm in a situation where everybody else is doing the deed, I can I can also participate and not feel like I'm like not having to go through all of the motions of, oh my God, like I'm an outsider, I don't belong here. I'm like, I can just participate. So that was a big piece on this particular one. But generally speaking, that would be what I would say to everyone is follow your heart, because it's telling you this for a reason. Stay to it, stay true to it. And the best way to stay true to it is by bolstering your reasons why you're doing it.
Yes, I love that. Yes. Now, our listeners are definitely inspired by now. They're like, I want to meet this Yvonne. She's amazing. Where can our listeners go ahead and find you, your website, social media, all that good stuff?
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Tina. I
Book.
appreciate that. Book. So I have, I wrote a book called Freedom Seeker: Reclaiming Feminine Wisdom. And you can buy that book on Amazon, or you can go to my website, yvonnewinkler.com/book. And you can see all the different options, because it's in audio, it's in digital, it's in paper. And also on my website is me in full color, with my blogs, my subscription to my newsletter. If you choose to want to be part of the journey on a monthly basis, I have a newsletter that comes out every month that has just my personality inserted, and some tips and tricks for all kinds of things that enhance the well-being for women. So I specifically focus in my work on addressing how our world is a little bit different than the men's world. And so I pay very close attention to bringing resources, tips, and knowledge and insights around feminine issues.
That's wonderful. Yeah, because like all my mentors are all female. I'm like, how is a male going to understand me?
Mm-hmm.
They go
Mm-hmm.
through different things than women do. So, yeah, that's why I wanted an all women's podcast, because I feel like we get each other, especially during the time of the month. We're like, oh, I know, I
We do.
understand your pain.
Yeah.
I understand your pain,
Yeah.
hormones and everything.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much for being on my show. Is there any last thoughts or final words you would like to share?
Yes, I would like to thank you for having this platform and for the message that you're bringing to women everywhere. Gina, your work is so important. Please don't stop doing this. Uh, it's a grind, I know that, and it can be hard at times. And you're on the right path here. I love your story. It's very inspiring, and keep doing what you're doing. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. That really touched my heart. I love those words. They're words of encouragement for me to keep going too. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.